Iceland. The name is misleading. Iceland is a country of glaciers where boiling water bubbles up from the earth and heats most of its homes. There is something thrillingly eerie about a land that truly runs hot and cold, where an angry, fiery force lurks underfoot. Iceland is volcanic in its origin and by its nature, which has provided Icelanders both their livelihood and their leisure. Take, for example, the Blue Lagoon. The water of Iceland's most popular spa is actually the runoff from a power plant. Pumped from a mile underground, the water is 470 degrees Fahrenheit when it goes into the plant. By the time it gets here, it's like a glorious hot bath loaded with minerals. What must the Vikings have thought when they settled here in 874? No wonder they believed in a hidden world, a world of ghosts and elves and trolls, superstitions that linger. Is this a joke or...
No, this is not a joke. This is absolutely... Those stories about cursed places are never a joke.
Icelandic journalist Bjarni Harðarson showed us a cave reputed to have a ghost, surrounded by hills, well known to be the home of elves.
A lot of elves are living there, yes.
Harðarson is collecting the old stories county by county so they won't be lost. Icelanders have always been obsessive about preserving their culture. The Icelandic language is the closest of any to the language of the Vikings.
Hann stökk fyrir Haraldi konungi, he fled.
Which is why scholar Svanhildr Askarsdóttir can read the 800-year-old manuscripts written on calfskin that are stored at the Árni Magnússon Institute in Reykjavik. These manuscripts, how important are they to the culture of Iceland?
They are. They have sometimes been called the cathedrals of Iceland.
In the Middle Ages, monks and scribes wrote down the great epic tales told by the Viking warriors who settled Iceland. The Icelandic sagas have been compared to Homer or Shakespeare. The Lord of the Rings was inspired by them.
Egil Skallagrímsson is one of the most famous characters of these sagas. He was a Viking and he was a poet.
He was a bloody-minded killer, but his lament over the death of his sons is considered one of the greatest poems in all of European literature. Embellished though they may be as histories, the sagas have proved to be accurate as genealogies, which has turned them into a different kind of national treasure in the 21st century, remarkably in the field of science.
I can trace my family back to Egil Skallagrímsson, who was born in the year 910. So he was a first-generation Icelander, so this is over 1100 years.
Dr. Kari Stephenson is one of thousands of Icelanders who claim Egil as an ancestor.
Let's now see what happens when we walk through the centuries. This is the information coming out to the sagas from information from the old church records and from all of the censuses that have been taken in Iceland over the centuries. We have put together a computerized database with the genealogy of the entire Icelandic nation going 1100 years back in time. And
Stephenson, a neurologist, was a professor at Harvard when it occurred to him that Iceland's incredible passion for genealogy made it a unique laboratory for research. In 1996, he founded Decode Genetics.
I wanted to use human genetics to help us to develop new drugs. I wanted to use genetics to help us to develop an understanding of the common diseases that would lead to the development of better ways to diagnose, treat, and prevent disease.
Decode has isolated genes associated with longevity, stroke, schizophrenia, obesity, diabetes, heart disease, asthma, and hypertension.
I don't think that there is any place in the world that has quite the resources that we have.
The entire population of Iceland is something like 290,000 people. Half of them have requested passwords so they can log on to Decode's genealogical database. Asgeir Asgeirsson is one of them.
That's my mother, yeah.
In the dark letters.
Ásdís Ásgeirsdóttir.
When he looks up his family, it is to see who died young and whether the cause was a heart attack. Asgeir had his first one at 35. By taking part in Decode's research, he learned he had inherited a faulty gene that increases the risk of heart disease. At any family gathering, he can look around and know that just about every person in the room has inherited it too. So he volunteered to take part in Decode's first ever drug trial of a medication that targets the faulty gene.
I have often looked at them and thought, I don't wish them to land in this, put them in the same position as I.
When asked to take part in Decode studies, Icelanders tend to say yes. Participation is better than 90%. The assumption has always been that Iceland's most important resource is nature. Now it seems its gene pool, the legacy of the Vikings, is a resource as extraordinary even as Gullfoss, Iceland's great waterfall. A natural resource in its own right.
Looking for a summer drive that's cool in every respect? Then hitch a ride with our contributor Conor Knighton, whose summer vacation has taken him full circle.
This summer marks the 40th anniversary of the completion of Iceland's Route 1, better known as the Ring Road. The 828-mile loop encircles the entire country, meaning you could technically drive around Iceland in a day. And in the summer, you'd still have plenty of daylight left over. The sun doesn't set until close to midnight, and this is about as dark as Iceland gets.
But you'd really need a week to take it all in. The Ring Road is one of the most scenic drives in the world.
Just off the highway, there are roaring waterfalls, mossy lava fields, sunny seaside cliffs, eerie glacial lagoons, bubbling, steaming earth. Iceland feels like another planet. In the 1960s, Apollo astronauts trained 4 lunar missions on Iceland's rocky landscape. The country has since become a favorite of sci-fi and fantasy filmmakers.
That drone is out there somewhere.
The recent Oblivion and Prometheus were shot in Iceland. And the country is featured prominently in Game of Thrones.
Oh, it seems you owe me a debt.
Give it back!
The Ring Road, just a little stretch of 2-lane blacktop, connects most of Iceland's major attractions and towns. Like, you know what? I'm not even going to try and say them. Trust me, it is worth seeing them. You might just have the views to yourself. Iceland only has a little over 300,000 people, and over 60% live in the greater Reykjavik area. So once you get out of the capital, the only traffic jam you're likely to encounter is some serious sheep gridlock. Driving the ring counterclockwise, I lost track of time altogether. Every side road begged to be explored. There were waterfalls to walk behind, icebergs to dodge, hidden hot springs to uncover.
For the past 10 days, I've just been driving around in a circle.
And in Iceland, that's the point.
Iceland is a country of rare physical beauty in the middle of the North Atlantic. It's a country of only 250,000 people, and they all seem to know Kristjan Johannsson. Last June at Thingvellir, when Icelanders were celebrating 50 years of independence, Kristjan Johannsson might have been the most celebrated person there. So when you're He is Iceland's biggest star, one of the world's leading tenors, here singing at the Metropolitan Opera in New York.
I have always been a dreamer, you see. Always been a dreamer. I thought I will do it, yeah. And if I did not think that way, I wouldn't have tried to do it.
So this is where you were born when you were...
Yeah.
Kristjan Johannsson had to be a dreamer. In the small town of Akureyri, where he grew up, the choices were few: farming or fishing or working on the docks. Johannsson worked on the docks as a welder. So you're working outside and wasn't it freezing?
Yeah, it was terrible. Terrible. In the winter it was snowing and freezing. And
How many hours a day did you do that?
10 hours, sometimes
Really?
12, 14, depend. This was the deal, this was the life. And we did not supposed to think about anything different.
But Kristjan Johannsson did think about something different. His father was an amateur singer who frequently sang in this theater. As a boy, Johannsson sang here too.
And when I sang here for the first time, it was a mess, it was a disaster.
Why?
Well, I was nervous, I was so emotional. And I was singing a couple of Icelandic songs, and I just stand here. My God, this is so
What did you
small.
sing? What was the song you sang?
I sang
Sing it.
I was singing here, just the same song. And it seems so small now, so tiny. Can you imagine?
And was your voice this big?
No, maybe one third.
Now when he sings an Icelandic song in Reykjavik, he can bring 3,000 of his countrymen to their feet. But Iceland is a small country in the middle of the North Atlantic. 15 years ago, to get the training that he needed, Johannsson had to move to Italy. He lives about an hour outside of Milan with his wife Jona and their 2 sons.
Of course, pasta. And this is kind of moment for me. Relaxing, and I think and I even sing in my own head some opera which I'm going to perform the next time.
His voice coach is just a walk away. Kristjan Johannsson has had a lot to work on these last few years. He made his debut in Iceland in 1981. And since then, he's sung in all the great opera houses in the world, such as La Scala in Milan, and Covent Garden in London, and the Lyric Opera in Chicago. Conductor Bruno Bartoletti is the artistic director in Chicago. He followed Johansson's career for years, and when the maestro felt that Johansson was ready, he brought him to Chicago.
He's a good tenor, he's a good musician, and he's a beautiful voice. What do you want more? I don't know.
Close your eyes, please.
Close your eyes and I kiss you.
Nowadays, audiences also seem to want good acting. For guidance, Johannsson turns to his wife Jona, a former actress. She travels with him whenever she can.
More. This is strong, eh? She is with me almost every moment. And, you know, it's hard for you to realize what you're doing and how you're doing it when you're on stage. So it's a great fortune for me to have her checking me out. All done.
If there's one role he's certainly conquered, it's the role of Cavaradossi in Tosca. He's sung it more than 150 times. But like many an heroic tenor, in the end, Cavaradossi dies. One can't help but wonder how Johannsson feels about dying on stage.
Well, I'm getting very used to it. I'm getting very, very used to it. Dying in Tosca is very pleasant. At least you die with style, you see, with dignity.
Kristjan Johannsson doesn't get back to Iceland very much these days. Famous tenors don't spend very much time in any one place.
Jonas, come on.
But a trip back is a chance to see his family, and it's a chance to go fishing. But most of all, a trip back to Iceland is a chance to sing for his countrymen.
I want to show the very best of my art in front of my people, of course.
Many things have changed for Kristjan Johannsson, but many things remain the same.
Do you still have your union card?
Yeah, I do.
You must be the only tenor who has a shipbuilding union card. Huh?
Yes, and maybe I'm not the greatest tenor in the world, but I'm the strongest.
The crash of 2008 put the economies of many nations on ice. Few took a harder hit than Iceland. Years later, politicians and bankers are still paying the price, as Martha Teichner reports in our cover story.
In Iceland, a volcanic eruption of the political kind. Angry protesters demanded the resignation of their prime minister when last week's sensational data leak revealed his millions of dollars of undisclosed holdings in Iceland's 3 biggest banks, which collapsed during the world financial meltdown in 2008. This past Tuesday, Prime Minister Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson stepped aside. Iceland is known for its volcanic eruptions, among its many exotic natural wonders. And now for something else. After the crash, it let its banks fail and put its bankers in jail.
When the 3 big Icelandic banks collapsed, all 3 would have ranked among the 10 largest bankruptcies in U.S. history, had they been U.S. companies.
Historian Magnus Sven Helgason actually conducts walking tours explaining what went wrong when Iceland's bankers and businessmen set out to turn a country of only 330,000 people into a world financial capital.
These guys, I mean, they styled themselves as corporate Vikings, sort of laying claim to the mantle of the original Vikings that settled Iceland.
The banks borrowed massive sums of money, then loaned it out again at much higher rates of interest to entrepreneurs who, like the ancient Vikings, plundered, buying up companies worldwide. Money rolled in, and a nation of fishermen began believing in the so-called Icelandic miracle.
A lot of people seemed to be getting very rich very fast, and a lot of people wanted to join in on that.
Katrín Jakobsdóttir is one of the members of parliament who decided on Iceland's hardline response when this whole house of cards built on debt came tumbling down.
Even though the banks also were responsible as a whole, I think it was the conviction that also the individuals within the banks had done this.
There were huge daily protests then, too. It was called the Pots and Pans Revolution. The entire economy was in freefall. Inflation skyrocketed. Unemployment more than quadrupled. And the big three banks were not too big to fail. They were too big to save, valued at 10.5 times Iceland's GDP.
We are the 99%! We
At the same time, Americans were angry too. In the United States, more than 8 million jobs were lost. More than 5 million people lost their homes. But Congress spent $700 billion in taxpayer monies to bail out the banks. And their executives kept right on collecting their high salaries and bonuses. Exactly one U.S. banker went to jail, trader Karim Sarageldin. Not so in Iceland. Olafur Hauksson was appointed special prosecutor. He was given a hefty budget and a mandate.
The question here in Iceland was criminality involved? And if there was criminality involved, there should be a prosecution.
Outside Hauksson's office, something not seen elsewhere. The country's top bankers facing charges of market manipulation and fraud, ambushed by media.
How many bankers are in jail?
Between 20 and 30 have been gotten sentences of jail.
Sigurðun Arnason, former CEO of Landsbanki, will begin serving a 5-year prison sentence in the fall.
This was a part of the show.
His lawyer, Siggi Gudjonsson, dismisses the prosecutions as political theater.
A kind of a witch hunt.
A witch hunt?
Yeah. People were angry. So you had to come up with some kind of political solution.
The bankers are sent to Kvíabryggja prison. No bars, but hours from anywhere. An Icelandic journalist, allowed in for an interview, was told, "We never did anything that wasn't in the interest of the bank or its clients."
The worst thing was the broken trust.
Information security consultant Marino Njelsson was one of thousands of property owners who lost homes.
And that's why nobody feels pity for the bankers in the jail, because they cheated on us. You know, they told us lies. They covered up, and we were the one that were paying for it.
Iceland's economy has recovered, and how it dealt with its banks and bankers has taken on a kind of neat, mythical, they did it right quality for many people. But here, as last week's events make plain, the anger remains, ready to erupt at any time.
We're about to take you off the coast of Iceland on a midnight mission that's become a tradition for all involved. It's called the Puffin Patrol. It's a group of volunteers lending the tiniest of helping hands to some lovable birds in need.
We didn't see them at first, but out of the mist, there they were, like giant moss-covered icebergs. The Westman Islands poke out of the Atlantic just off the southern coast of Iceland. None of the islands are inhabited, save one, the island of Heme, and even it almost wasn't. A volcano erupted back in 1973, forcing the evacuation of everyone here. There are now about 4,500 hardy souls who live in this fishing village, but they weren't who we came to visit. We came to see the residents perched high in those cliffs, the island's Atlantic puffins. They're impossibly cute, even if birding isn't your thing. Their colorful beak inspired their nickname, Clowns of the Sea. And every spring, they make these islands their big top. They couldn't be more celebrated here. A 6-foot puffin statue greets tourists in the harbor. The street signs bear their beak, so do the benches. And there is plenty of puffin paraphernalia for purchase.
They have been really a big attraction for tourism, which is now one of our biggest industries.
But biologist Erper Hansen says puffins are not as plentiful as they once were. Their numbers have been declining, down by 1/3 or more, he says, just since 2002.
The species is still very abundant in the Atlantic. But when you have this long-term declines, then you start getting worried, and if this continues, it's not going to end very well.
It's not all puffin hunting that's to blame. Yes, that does happen. It's been going on since the Vikings settled the place. In fact, we found puffin as an appetizer at one of the island's restaurants. While the hunting certainly doesn't help, Hansen says the puffins have larger issues. Breeding problems, for one. We followed him to the top of the sea cliffs where he inspected the puffin's burrows.
And you can see underneath the wing here, it's outside. It's hiding something under the wing. There's a chick underneath here.
But only about 55% of the burrows had an egg inside. Normally, he says, about 75% of them do. There's a food shortage too, he thinks. Baby puffins, called pufflings, eat sand eels, those silver fish in their parents' mouths. But they've been in short supply, he says, because of rising ocean temperatures.
Now this one is incubating a small chick. It's very late. I'm not sure that chick is going to make it.
Just getting out of those burrows to begin their lives can be pretty risky. It happens after the sun dips into the Atlantic and the moon rises high above. Instinct tells baby puffins to follow that moonlight out to sea. But the lights from Heme's harbor have given the moon some competition, and many pufflings get confused. They fly toward the lights of town instead, where they either starve or end up in the clutches of a hungry cat. And that's when something called the Puffling Patrol, armed with headlamps and flashlights, scrambles into the inky black.
You a puffin?
Yes, 2.
2.
This is a rescue effort that's been generations in the making, one that's led by the children of Heme.
Like 7-year-old Aaron Sindrason.
It was like Christmas morning when his dad Sindri woke him up just before midnight. Aaron didn't want to miss a moment of this annual puffin ritual. Do I get anything special if I spot one? Yes. Is there like a puffin award?
You get to catch it.
I get to catch it. To catch one, though, you have to find one. Oh, is that one right there? Black birds on black streets? No easy task. Ugh, it's a piece of trash. But before long, a little luck. Oh, there's one up there. There's one. Aaron and his mom, Hildur, raced out of the car in search of their puffin prize. The problem? Sometimes a catch doesn't always stay a catch. It can go on like this for hours.
There's no one there.
At one point, Aaron even started making what I could only assume was a puffin mating call of sorts. And it worked. He even rescued one right in his grandmother's backyard.
Ég búin að finna 4 með þessari. Það ekki. Þetta svakalegt duglegur.
Pufflings were everywhere, and so were their pint-sized rescuers, which explained this charming sight the following morning. A parade of kids, bundled against the cold, some barely old enough to walk, bringing their catch to the shore and setting their pufflings free. Aaron and his little sister Sarah among them.
This is something we did when we were younger, and I'm very glad to be able to do it with my kids.
What's so sweet about it is it really is a tradition, right? That's just handed down from one generation to another, right?
It is, and it's quality family time. Sometimes there's a little bit of a sadness and some tears if we go home and we didn't find any, but there's quality time that you have with your family. And
looking up from the tablets and smartphones and stuff like that.
But this is only part of the Puffin Patrol's mission. All those kids with all those boxes first bring their puffins here, to the local aquarium. Where did you find him?
Close to the harbor.
Close to the harbor?
Yeah.
Can I see him? This is where kindness and science meet. Each puffling is weighed, its wingspan measured, and all their puffin particulars are entered into a handwritten journal. They're tagged, too, each given their own number.
I love it. It's good energy here.
Good energy and good research, as it turns out. Biologist Erper Hansen is more than happy for all this pint-sized help.
How much does that add to the data that you have? That's the key. This is already over 2,000 now. I think it's going to end in probably somewhere around 5,000 or so.
It's all fairy tale kind of stuff, except for the puffins themselves, of course. And no one is more aware of the stress it puts on the birds than their young rescuers.
Sometimes they make a little weird noise.
A little weird noise? Maybe they're saying thank you.
No.
They might be.
How do I say thank you? By biting.
Good point. There's an understanding, it seems, between bird and child. An unspoken promise that is kept as soon as they're both back at that windswept cove, where friendship is traded for freedom. There's a technique to it, sort of a two-handed softball pitch. 1, 2, 3. Go, go, go. Nearly 5,000 pufflings were scooped up, tagged, and put back on course this season. One of the largest rescue missions in over a decade. If all goes well, they'll return from the open ocean to raise their own chicks here, where Aaron and his young friends will be waiting to help the next generation of puffins prosper.